Good afternoon, everybody. I think we're just about ready to get going with a short speaking program. For those of you who don't know me, which is 98% of you, my name is Tom Tinlin. I am the Highway Administrator, newly minted over at MassDOT. In speaking to Mayor Mitchell, it gives me great pleasure to be here today on behalf of Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and of course our great Secretary of Transportation, Stephanie Pollack. Jobs such as these, which, you know, when people look at a $3 million investment in this beautiful city, people might say, it's a $3 million investment, but jobs like these are just as important, if not more so, to some of the things that you read regularly about in the newspaper. You know, a $190 million viaduct job, or an on-ramp or an off-ramp. But these jobs, to me, to the Baker-Polito administration, are just as, if not more important, because they're transformative. You can take an area of a city or a town and open it up to all users, whether they choose to come on foot, by vehicle, on bicycle, and we cannot underestimate the value of taking precious tax dollars and doing jobs such as this. But these jobs don't happen alone. They happen with true partnership. So I do want to acknowledge a couple of folks who were here before we introduce our speakers. But Inez Drolet, if I'm saying it correctly, from Congressman Keating's office joins us. Let's hear it. Come on. Small crowds can make a lot of noise. There you go. There's a believer right there. I know him. Audra Riding from Senator Montigny's office is here. Thank you so much. Paul Sayetti, if I'm saying it correctly, I apologize if I'm not, from PA Landers, who was our contractor on the job. You know, we can't do this without the hard hats and the protective vests and the men and women that are actually doing the work in the intersections. And Justin Downey from Representative Markey is here as well, so we appreciate you coming out and saying hello. As I've said before, these jobs are all about partnership, and they're all about communication, they're all about advocacy. Every job in this state, big or small, has a group of people who believe in it. And our first speaker is truly an advocate in the state legislature for all things transportation. And the pavement wasn't cool and the thermoplast wasn't dry when Representative Cabral already had some tweaks that he thought could make this even a little more special. And these are things that we will continue to work with him and his office on, as well as the mayor's office. But your great state representative, Antonio Cabral.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the kind words. It is a celebration, if you will, for this particular neighborhood as well. And as you know, the Brownell Ave neighborhood is been impacted significantly in the past with the traffic coming out of 140. We thought by redesigning, in addition to being the third most dangerous intersection in southeastern Mass, we thought this was an opportunity to really redesign the intersection to minimize the impact on Brownell Ave. And after many discussions, several meetings, I must tell you that Mass Highway, Mass DOT, and also I have to mention the Commissioner's predecessor, who is now the acting general manager for the T, Frank DePaula, really knew the area. He went to UMass Dartmouth. When we met with him some time ago up in Boston, he knew exactly what the intersection, I'm going to let the truck go by. He knew exactly what the intersection looked like. He used to go by here many times on his way to UMass Dartmouth, at the time SMU. So it was an easy discussion from that perspective, and he understood the possible impact if we didn't quite tweaked and redesigned some of the aspects of the plans in order to benefit Brownell Ave and the residents in this neighborhood. So I want to thank Frank. I want to thank Commissioner Timlin for his openness to really sit down with us and continue that discussion, and continue to, as he mentioned, to try to see if there are additional tweaks to even accomplish that goal even more. I want to thank as well Ron LaBelle from the city. Ron, we had discussions with Ron several times as well, and I think Ron knows the intersection also very well, and he was receptive to whatever we were talking about to make sure that we minimize the impact on the neighbors, on the residents of this particular section of the city. and I thought we have accomplished that. Some people have to get used to it, to the new reconfiguration of the intersection, but I think as the days go by, they're getting used to it, and they're beginning to really follow the directions as they approach the intersection to go where they should go rather than what they sometimes would like to go. So I think that's a nice way of putting it. But we did a lot of work on this. Mass Highway, the commission has been very gracious, and this staff and the local Mary Jo Perry and the other folks from the Region 5 have been very cooperative along with the contractor to make sure that whatever came out of the final product was one that all of us thought was going to really was going to meet the objectives and the goals that we all started out to be: a safer intersection, a least impact on Brownell Ave neighborhood, and I think we probably have accomplished, once people get used to the flow of traffic here and some additional tweaks around signage and so forth, I think those goals will be accomplished in the next several months. So I want to thank all of those who were involved. I want to thank the neighbors for their patience. We communicated with them several times. We had a public hearing as well on this issue. We communicated by written communication to them, and anytime any of them would call the office, we would explain what was going on and the objective of part of the project. And I think by and large, I would say they were pretty receptive to the changes to minimize the impact on their neighborhood. So I want to thank all of you and the city, the cooperation from the city, not only from Ron, but from the mayor's office, to make sure that we did what was best, not only for public safety, but in particular what was best as well for this part of the city, for this neighborhood, because we are in the business of improving neighborhoods, not really impacting them in a negative way. And I think this is an attempt to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. Wow.
They're
very excited. Yeah, they're very excited. But I do want to kind of put an exclamation point behind something the representative said. And, you know, as we talk about with our contractors, but also our public sector dedicated teams, because jobs like these, they don't happen sitting in a boardroom around a bunch of plans. They happen because you're on the street, you're in the road, you're doing the dirty work, and you're transforming neighborhoods. So I too want to pass along my thanks to our great District Highway Director, Mary Jo Perry, and her entire team. And as I introduce kind of the quarterback for the city of New Bedford, the Bill Belichick and Mayor Mitchell, you know, you're only as good as your players, and no player has been more of a presence and more determined to make sure that this project wasn't just done, but was done right, and was really something that the city of New Bedford and the Commonwealth could be proud of. So I do want to acknowledge Commissioner of Public Infrastructure Ron LaBelle and thank him for all of his tireless work as well. And here's your coach, you know, the man at the local level who had to probably listen to a couple, as well as the representative, maybe listen to some neighbors who were a little sick of the noise and the dust, but he had the vision to make sure that this stayed on track so that it could be a real true benefit to his city. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Jonathan Mitchell.
All right. Well, let me say a couple things. You know, lots already been covered, but you know what I remember of, we've all been through this intersection. We've all seen a lot of close calls. I can remember not long before construction started, we had a really bad accident that was a very, very close call when we had a tractor trailer that turned left from 140 South onto Route 6 onto Kempton Street East that was trying to beat a light. And we've all tried to beat this light. I can't tell you how many times in high school I tried to beat this light, and I've been doing it ever since. But when tractor trailers try to do it and take a sharp turn, bad things can happen. We had a tractor trailer turn over and flipped onto, and some of you may know her, into Celia Brito's hatchback car and almost squashed Celia, whom everybody loves. And that really, in my mind, drove home the need to do something about this intersection. it is for good reason, was for good reason, ranked among the most, the least safest intersections in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But no more. It is a safe intersection now, and it is an intersection that facilitates traffic flow and commerce far better than it once did. So this project has accomplished a number of goals, safety being the top one, but also getting people from point A and products from point A to points B and so forth far more readily than before. And so it's been a real win. There was another point to make, and that is it was all done without detracting from the beauty of Buttonwood Park. This park is the pride and joy of the city and the west end of the city in particular. And Tom, we had there were lots of trees planted, and if you got a few spares, we'll take some more along the way. But it was great that the beautification need was adopted, was addressed as part of this project. So, and it bears repeating that this is it's an intersection, and it doesn't look fundamentally different than it did before, but it is very different. And in order to get it to this point, it took a real team effort, and I'll just, it bears repeating that we really appreciate Governor Baker's and Frank DiPaolo's and your commitment, Tom, to seeing this through. There are a number of projects around the state with the change of administrations that got pulled, and that's no criticism of the current administration. It's just something that always happens when the governor's office changes out, and this was one that continued on, and because of its importance in terms of preserving the safety or enhancing the safety of folks here in Greater New Bedford. So we thank you for sticking with it. And Tom comes originally from Boston, where he was Mayor Menino's top highway administrator for many years, and so he knows the value of these projects around the state, especially in urban areas, and how doing a few things here and there can make a big difference in terms of both making things safer, making commerce flow better, and helping people get from point A to point B more readily, and that makes for a better quality of life because nobody likes traffic. I also want to commend the state delegation, led in this case by Representative Cabral, for supporting the Transportation Improvement Plan program. This is a so-called TIP project, and TIP projects start off at the local level. They are designed by municipalities working with, in our case, CDM Smith, which is a great engineering firm that we've worked with for a long time. And of course, Ron LaBelle's shop, if you don't know it already, and I tell people this all the time, and I'm going to make him blush, but Ron is the best DPW administrator in the entire state. And so he's good thing he's not listening. He's clapping. I didn't hear a word I just said. That's good. But having Ron on board and moving these projects along really has made a difference in the city. In New Bedford, or beyond New Bedford, especially in the southeastern region of the state, we're known as a place that moves projects along. We take a lot of pride in that, and Ron's the one who makes that happen. I want to thank SERPED, the regional planning agency that played a part in moving this along with our other TIP projects, and there are others in the pipeline too. I noted for the administrator that at the end of these press conferences, I always offer comments that fall into the category of "What have you done for me lately?" So there are other things that we're interested in moving along, but fortunately, we've got a great relationship with MassDOT, where those conversations happen. And on the issue of MassDOT, on the subject of MassDOT, great team here in Region 5, Mary Jo. Another great project that you guys have worked on with us. We really appreciate your work in Region 5, and especially with the city. And this is going to be good for the neighborhood. It's good. It's a good thing for this particular neighborhood. It's a good thing for the entire city and the entire region, because this really is a bit of a choke point for folks. This is a real major intersection, and now that it's working right, it's going to make a difference in people's lives in subtle ways, but it all adds up. So thanks again to Tony for his hard work, to the delegation, Mark Montigny, Chris Markey, Bob Kazera, Bill Strauss, and Paul Schmidt, who all represent parts of New Bedford. Good project, and more to come. Thanks, everybody.
The mayor's actually giving me a little bit of a break. He didn't wait till after the press conference. He grabbed me right at the intersection and said, "Hey, well, I have you," and so I have a nice little list to go back to with. But look at it. In closing, I think this is just an indication of how government is meant to work. I mean, this project has touched all levels, from the federal, from the state, and from the local, and that's the way that it should work. And when it works and works right, this is what we get in return for that. So there's a lot of work left to do. Rest assured that MassDOT, Secretary Pollack, Governor Baker, we recognize that we're in it for the long haul. So working together, hopefully we'll have more opportunities such as this, and beautiful days such as this. And hopefully, Rob, the winter will give us a little bit of a breather, but we'll believe that when we see it. I know. Hey, but anyways, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, and have a great day. Thank you all.
Let's go.
I'd say I need a little off the top. I know we're moving that.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Hey.
All right. Now it's official.
There we go. We're open for business.
Now these cars are authorized to pass.
Yes.
All right, well done, everybody. Nice job.
Thanks again.
Hello, everyone. Happy 20th anniversary to us! Woo! That's right. New Bedford Cable Network has been on the air now for 20 years. Woo! Over the years, we've covered some memorable events like the visit from Mother Teresa, the Olympic torch relay, the World Series trophy. Hey, wait a second. We need to get the Super Bowl trophy down here. Anyway, we broadcast live events like election night coverage from Channel 95 and the mayoral press conferences on Channel 18, plus great coverage and commentary of high school sports on Channel 9. And I'd like to thank all the people who lent their talents to making us great. I especially want to acknowledge these two, Dan Cabral and Sue Richard, who've been here, can you believe it, for the entire 20 years. What are you thinking? You've been here every step of the way throughout our growth and helped to make us who we are today. And thank you to the viewers for watching and making us your choice for city information and entertainment. Yeah.
Can we have some cake now?
Okay! Happy anniversary!
Hi, I'm Taya Leone, and you're watching New Bedford Cable Network. Good for you.